On the fog-drenched California coast, a brand-new water park is set to open, until a mysterious sea monster rises from the depths, threatening everything. Strange waves crash, sonar signals flicker, and shadows move beneath the surface. What lurks in the dark waters of Black Tide Bay? As fear spreads, the gang must uncover the truth before the monstrous threat drowns their dreams, and maybe more. The dense morning fog rolled in thick over the California coastline, cloaking the newly built Black Tide Water Park in a soft, eerie haze. Seagulls cried overhead, their sharp calls slicing through the salty air. The park buzzed with last-minute preparations before its grand opening, but beneath the cheerful chatter and clinking of tools, an unsettling tension gripped the staff. Something lurked beneath the calm surface of the bay. A creature so massive and mysterious that local fishermen refused to venture near after sunset. Fred Jones stood near the shore, his eyes fixed on the water as he coordinated the setup of giant nets that stretched far beneath the waves. His team was preparing to capture whatever was terrorizing the bay, but Fred's usually confident expression betrayed a flicker of doubt. "We can't just sit around waiting for it to strike again," he said, voice low but firm. "These nets have to work, or this whole park's opening is doomed." Beside him, Velma Dinkley crouched by a bulky sonar console, her brow furrowed as she studied the glowing screen. The digital blips and beeps seemed normal at first glance, but something was off. "Fred, look at this," she said, pointing to an unusual pattern flickering on the sonar. "These readings don't just indicate a monster, someone's tampering with the signal. The sonar's being hacked." Fred whistled softly. "Who would want to sabotage the park? And why?" Before Velma could answer, a sudden splash echoed from the water's edge. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy appeared, panting and soaked, with wide eyes that mirrored their usual mix of excitement and terror. "Ruro, Raggy!" Scooby whimpered, looking over his shoulder. "Roo, Monstro!" Shaggy nodded frantically. "Like, Scoob, we were just hanging out with the dolphins when something huge splashed out of nowhere. It looked like, I don't know, some giant sea beast." Fred smiled despite the tension. "That's exactly what we need to find out. Velma, can you track where the sonar interference is coming from?" Velma tapped rapidly on her tablet, analyzing the incoming data. "The hack isn't steady, it's intermittent. Whoever's behind this knows what they're doing. The source seems to be somewhere inside the park itself." Scooby barked nervously, his ears twitching. "Ruo! Inside the park?" "Looks like it," Velma confirmed. "We've got a mystery on our hands, gang. And it's bigger than any sea monster." Suddenly, a ripple formed near the dolphin enclosure, and a sleek, playful dolphin surfaced, clicking happily at Scooby and Shaggy. The dogs wagged their tails cautiously, slowly calming down. "Hey, buddy," Shaggy said, smiling nervously. "You got anything to tell us about the monster?" The dolphin chirped and dove, but then a huge shadow loomed beneath the surface, moving swiftly toward the tank. Scooby's fur stood on end, and Shaggy nearly jumped out of his skin. "Zoinks! That thing is huge!" Before anyone could react, the water churned violently, sending a wave crashing against the nearby pier. The crew scrambled as the sonar console flickered and went dark. Velma cursed under her breath. "They're shutting down the sonar completely now. We're flying blind." Fred's jaw tightened. "We don't have time to wait for answers. Whatever's out there, it's coming closer." The gang exchanged glances, the weight of the unknown pressing down on them. The monster was no longer just a legend whispered in coastal taverns, it was real, and it was ready to strike again. The sun struggled to break through the thick veil of fog as the gang regrouped in the dimly lit control room of Black Tide Water Park. The faint hum of machinery filled the air, but the atmosphere was tense, heavy with unanswered questions. Daphne Blake, always keen to uncover hidden truths, paced near a steel door labeled Administrative Office. Her instincts told her there was more to this park than met the eye. Guys, Daphne said, stopping abruptly. I think we need to dig deeper. This place feels like it's hiding secrets, big ones. Fred nodded, running a hand through his hair. I agree. Velma, can you keep trying to restore the sonar? We need eyes in the water. Velma frowned, her eyes glued to the flickering console. I'm working on it, but whoever's hacking us is good. It's not just interference, it's deliberate sabotage. We're dealing with someone who wants to keep the monster's secrets buried. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy, still shaken but determined to help, wandered toward the Dolphin tank. The Dolphin from earlier greeted them with excited clicks and flips, its smooth skin glistening in the artificial light. Scooby's tail wagged slowly, comforted by the creature's presence. Like, maybe this guy knows what's going on, Shaggy whispered, crouching by the tank. Suddenly, the water rippled wildly, and before either could react, the gate to the tank swung open. Zoinks! Scoob, we're trapped. Shaggy yelped as the two found themselves inside the enclosure with the Dolphin swimming nervously around them. Back in the control room, Daphne's curiosity pushed her toward the steel door she had noticed earlier. With a deep breath, she searched for a keycard on the nearby desk. To her surprise, she found a small, unmarked key taped under the keyboard. Unlocking the door, she stepped inside a cluttered office filled with faded files, a locked safe, and a dusty computer terminal. Her eyes scanned piles of documents until she found a folder marked, Confidential, Environmental Reports. Flipping through the pages, Daphne's heart raced. The documents detailed experiments on marine life, genetic tests, chemical exposure, and secret funding from an anonymous corporation. Worse, there were references to environmental damage caused by the park's underwater construction. Before she could absorb more, her phone buzzed with an alert. Velma's voice came through, urgent and breathless. Daphne, I think I found something. The sonar code isn't just random, it's a cipher. And it points to someone named Dr. Calder. Dr. Calder? Daphne repeated, pulling out a photo tucked inside the folder. It showed a serious-looking man in a lab coat. The same name appeared in the report footnotes. Yes, Velma continued, he was a marine biologist who disappeared 5 years ago. Local rumors say he was obsessed with protecting the bay, but no one knows what really happened to him. Just then, a low rumble shook the building. The lights flickered, and an alarm blared, the monster was close again. Fred burst into the room, face grim. The bay's been hit hard. Boats damaged, and the water's turning dark with some strange chemical residue. This isn't just an animal attack, someone's dumping toxic waste into the ocean. Daphne closed the folder quickly, her mind racing. The experiments, the sabotage, Dr. Calder. It's all connected. Scooby and Shaggy's panicked voices crackled over the radio. Ruro. We're still stuck in the tank. The monster's back. Fred swore under his breath. Hang tight, guys. We're coming. Velma's fingers flew across her tablet. If the monster is tied to these experiments, and the sonar hack is meant to keep us blind, then whoever's behind this will stop at nothing to protect their secret. The gang rushed outside to the Dolphin enclosure, where Scooby and Shaggy clung to the railing, eyes wide with fear as the water churned dangerously. The monstrous silhouette of the creature emerged once again, larger and more terrifying than before, its glowing eyes fixed on the helpless pair. The waves crashed violently against the weathered pier as the gang hurried toward the Dolphin tank, their faces etched with urgency and concern. Scooby and Shaggy were soaked but unharmed, their wide eyes still reflecting the terror of nearly becoming prey to the monstrous beast lurking beneath the waters. The Dolphin circled nervously, its playful clicks replaced by a low, anxious hum. Fred knelt by the tank's edge, scanning the darkened water. We need to figure out how this thing keeps getting so close without triggering any alarms. There has to be a blind spot in their security. Velma, clutching her tablet tightly, shook her head. It's not just a blind spot. The whole system's been compromised. Whoever is behind the sonar hack knows the park's security better than we do. They're using the monster as a distraction, but for what? Daphne's phone buzzed again, the encrypted message from the mysterious informant flashing on the screen. Her fingers trembled as she read the chilling warning, "Leave now. The truth is darker than you think. The monster is only the beginning." "Guys, someone's watching us," Daphne said quietly, locking eyes with Fred. "And they don't want us snooping around." Just then, a piercing alarm echoed through the park. Spotlights snapped on, illuminating the churning waters of the bay. From the darkness, a monstrous silhouette surged forward, its massive form crashing into the surface with bone-shaking force. The crowd of workers and visitors backed away in fear, shouting warnings and scrambling for safety. Fred's voice rang out sharply. "Everyone, get clear. The nets, deploy the nets now." With swift precision, crews worked to cast the heavy nets into the water. But the creature was faster, more cunning. It twisted and turned beneath the waves, narrowly avoiding capture time and again. "Ruro," Scooby muttered, eyes darting anxiously as he hid behind Shaggy. "This thing's too smart." Velma's eyes lit up suddenly. "Wait, if the sonar is hacked, and the monster avoids the nets, maybe it's being guided." Fred frowned. Guided? By who? Velma tapped furiously on her tablet, tracing faint signals buried within the hacking code. Someone's controlling it remotely, or at least sending it commands. The realization hit the group like a thunderclap. This wasn't just a wild beast, it was a weapon. Suddenly, a shadow flickered near the observation tower. Daphne squinted, spotting a figure slipping away into the fog. "That's our saboteur," she whispered. Fred tightened his grip on the radio. "I'm going after them." "No," Velma insisted, urgency cracking her voice. "If they want us to chase shadows, that's exactly what they want. We need proof, something concrete." As Fred hesitated, Scooby tugged at his sleeve. "Raggy and me are still stuck close to the tank. What if the monster is trying to protect something? Like the dolphin, or something else?" Shaggy gulped. Maybe that's why it's here, not to attack, but to guard." Daphne's eyes narrowed. "Guard what? And who benefits?" Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. The water around the dolphin tank began to bubble and glow with an unnatural light, and a strange metallic object surfaced, half buried in the sand and seaweed. Velma reached out, carefully lifting the strange device. "This looks like some kind of remote transmitter, and it's active." Fred stared in disbelief. So someone planted this to control the monster. But why? Before they could ponder further, the transmitter emitted a low, mechanical growl, and the water around the tank began to churn violently once more. Scooby and Shaggy scrambled back, nearly slipping on the wet floor. This just got way worse. The night air was thick with salt and tension as the gang stood at the edge of the bay, staring at the strange underwater glow that pulsed beneath the waves. The faint hum of machinery echoed eerily through the water, a sinister lullaby from the depths. Fred pulled out a waterproof flashlight, illuminating the outline of what appeared to be a massive submerged structure. An underwater lab? Daphne breathed, eyes wide with disbelief. Who would build something like this hidden right beneath a public park? Velma adjusted her glasses, scanning the readings on her tablet. It's definitely a lab, and from the data, it looks like it's been active recently. That transmitter wasn't just controlling the monster, it's linked to everything down there. Scooby peeked out nervously from behind Shaggy, who was gripping his arm like a lifeline. "Ruro, this is way creepier than I thought." Fred frowned, glancing back toward the shoreline where the park was still buzzing with confusion and chaos. "We need to get inside that lab. If we can find proof of what they're doing, we can stop whoever's behind this." "But how?" Daphne asked. "The entrance must be underwater, and none of us are exactly scuba experts. Velma smiled faintly. I might have something that can help. She pulled a small device from her bag, a high-tech underwater drone equipped with cameras and sensors. We can send this down first to scout the area. The group gathered on a nearby dock, tension mounting as Velma launched the drone into the water. Its bright lights cut through the murky depths, revealing a sprawling complex of glass, steel, and pipes, an industrial maze glowing with eerie green and blue lights. The drone's camera caught glimpses of tanks filled with strange creatures, mutated fish, glowing jellyfish, and other bizarre marine lifeforms. Pipes snaked through the lab, some leaking ominous-looking fluids into the water. Fred swallowed hard. This isn't just some secret science project. This is messing with the environment, probably why the monster's acting so weird. Suddenly, the drone's feed flickered. Static surged through the image, and then, chillingly, a shadow moved across the lab's corridor, a figure in a lab coat, hurried and cautious. Velma zoomed in. There's someone down there, and they're not supposed to be. The drone followed the figure as they moved quickly through the complex, pausing briefly at a sealed door. The door hissed open electronically, revealing a vault filled with confidential files and glowing vials. Daphne gasped. Look at those chemicals. Could they be the source of the monster's mutations? Fred nodded grimly. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Suddenly, the drone's signal cut out completely. Velma, what happened? Fred demanded. The lab must have detected us, she said, biting her lip. They probably have security measures to block any surveillance. Before anyone could react, the water around the dock started to churn violently. The monstrous silhouette emerged again, more aggressive and erratic than ever. Scooby yelped, grabbing Shaggy's arm. We've got to get out of here. Fred's eyes narrowed. No, we can't run. The monster's protecting the lab. We have to find a way inside, and fast. As the waves crashed and the creature circled, a sudden explosion rocked the water, sending a fiery plume into the night sky. The gang watched in horror as part of the underwater lab structure collapsed, sending debris and dark clouds of pollution into the bay. Velma's voice was tight with anger. They're trying to cover their tracks, and if we don't stop them, this place could be destroyed forever. The wind howled along the shoreline as the gang regrouped near the wreckage of the underwater lab. The once glowing green and blue lights had been replaced by flickering red emergency signals pulsing through the water like warning beacons. The air was thick with the acrid smell of smoke and something metallic, danger closing in from every side. Fred paced, jaw clenched. They destroyed part of the lab to hide the evidence. But we still have a chance. Velma's drone captured some of their research files before it went offline. Velma, hunched over her tablet, nodded grimly. Yeah, but it's encrypted with military-grade security. Whoever's behind this doesn't want anyone seeing what they're doing. Daphne bit her lip, glancing nervously toward the bay where the monstrous silhouette had vanished beneath the waves. Do you think the monster's dead? Or worse, more dangerous now? Scooby shivered and looked at Shaggy, who gave a nervous laugh. I'm betting it's just hiding. Monsters don't just disappear, especially not ones this angry. Suddenly, Fred's phone vibrated. A new message appeared, no sender ID, just one line, you're closer than you think. But some truths are better left buried. Daphne exchanged a worried look with Fred. It's the same person who warned me before. They want us to back off. No way, Fred said firmly. We need to press on. The people who built that lab have plans we have to stop. Velma tapped rapidly on her tablet. Wait, I'm breaking through the encryption on the files. It's a partial decryption, but it's enough to read some of the data. The gang leaned in as Velma's screen filled with blueprints, chemical formulas, and reports. The documents described a secret project named Black Tide, an experiment aiming to create genetically enhanced sea creatures for military use. The monster wasn't just a random creature but a bioengineered weapon gone rogue. Fred's face darkened. This whole park was a cover-up, a front to test these experiments in real waters. Shaggy gulped. So this monster isn't just some scary fish. It's a science project gone wrong. Exactly, Velma said, eyes flicking over more files. And they've been trying to silence anyone who got too close, including us. Suddenly, the bushes rustled nearby. Everyone froze. A figure stepped into the dim light, a woman in a sharp suit, her face hard and unreadable. "You shouldn't have come here," she said coldly. Fred stepped forward. "Who are you? What's your connection to this?" The woman smiled thinly. "Let's just say I'm here to make sure that project stays secret, no matter what it costs." Daphne's eyes narrowed. "You mean you're the one behind the monster?" The woman's smile vanished. "I'm the one who controls it. And if you don't stop meddling, you'll all disappear beneath the black tide." Scooby growled low in his throat, the hair on his neck standing on end. The night was thick with tension as the gang prepared their plan to confront the mysterious woman and stop the monster once and for all. The air smelled of salt and electricity, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. The flickering red emergency lights from the ruined lab cast long shadows on the dock where they stood, each of them steeling themselves for what was to come. Fred tightened his grip on the rope netting they had modified for underwater use. "We've got to trap the creature near the old pier. If we can isolate it, maybe we can shut down its control signal." Velma nodded, holding up a small device. "This jammer should block the transmitter that's been controlling the monster remotely. Once it's offline, the creature might calm down or at least stop attacking." Scooby and Shaggy exchanged nervous glances but stood ready. "I don't want to swim with a monster, but I trust you guys," Shaggy muttered. The gang moved silently toward the pier, shadows slipping between the scattered debris and broken machinery. Suddenly, the woman appeared again, blocking their path with a cold smile. "You really think you can stop this? You don't understand the power you're meddling with." Fred stepped forward defiantly. "Your experiment endangered innocent lives. We're putting an end to it." Her eyes flickered with something dark and dangerous. "Then prepare for your final tide." With a sharp whistle, the monstrous silhouette erupted from the water, thrashing wildly, roaring with terrifying force. Its eyes glowed with unnatural intelligence, and its massive tentacles lashed out, smashing the pier's supports. Velma activated the jammer. A high-pitched whine filled the air, and the monster hesitated, confusion flickering in its glowing eyes. "Now, Fred!" Velma shouted. Fred threw the net with precision, the heavy mesh sinking and wrapping around the creature's thrashing form. It struggled fiercely but slowed as the jammer's signal cut through the control waves. Scooby barked excitedly, and Shaggy laughed nervously. "We did it! The monster's free!" The woman's face twisted with rage. "You may have stopped the creature, but you haven't stopped the project. Others will come." Daphne stepped forward, holding a flash drive she'd found in the lab. "Not if we expose everything. This has all the proof we need, the files, the experiments, the secrets." Velma smiled for the first time in days. "The world will know the truth." As the authorities arrived, alerted by their emergency call, the gang watched the monster slowly calm, its eyes losing the eerie glow, turning back into the confused creature it once was. Fred looked at his friends, relief washing over him. "We did it together. Mystery solved." Scooby wagged his tail happily. "Ruro. That was scary but awesome." The woman was taken away, her plans unraveled, while the gang stood on the shore, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The black tide's shadow had lifted, for now.